Hello all. Today is going to be a big challenge for me. I am going to tape it, but I don't know if it will be successful because, first of all, this will be my first cheesecake I ever made from scratch. Second of all, I'm going to make a toblerone, a white toblerone cheesecake. And this has to do with the fact that during Corona we spoiled ourselves by ordering nice pastry, and one of them was white toblerone cheesecake. Back then, white toblerone was not available in the Netherlands, so it was not an option. But now, currently, it was at a low budget store here nearby, the Action, and I bought a lot of white toblerone bars just to be able to create a white toblerone cheesecake. Well, I searched the internet, but the recipes are rare. I could only find two. One is a film, which I find difficult because I like to read my recipe, and one was a written recipe, but a little bit American style. Although you could put in that you wanted to see in metric. But some ingredients are not literally translated. For example, icing sugar, we don't have something like that. But when I googled it, it turned out that we have something like that, and it's powder sugar, we call it, poedersuiker in Dutch. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, half the recipe, because it's a big cheesecake and you can't deep freeze cheesecake, so I'm going to make one for 2 persons and 2 portions, etc. So I have to rebuild the whole recipe to fit Dutch ingredients. And the portion, of course, and that is probably handy for people with smaller households. So what I'm going to try to create is a white toblerone cheesecake, which can function, the recipe can function for as well as US people, English people, but also the Dutch people, and in a smaller portion for smaller households, because you can't freeze the cheesecake. I'm a little bit nervous because, as I said, I never done a cheesecake before, and a white Toblerone will be a step even more difficult. But, well, if it doesn't work, I can always make it into a nice dessert or something. Well, I'm going to tape, and I hope this will not deter you from watching the video. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to do the motions after I have reworked the recipe. And afterwards, if I say it's successful or it ended up being a nice dessert, I will montage the images I make while doing it, with adding some remarks and things I found out along the way, and then in the end I will put the final recipe in the text below the video. So let's hope I won't be taping all of this for nothing, because it could fail. Anyway, I'm going to start now and I'll take you on my journey, and let's hope all together, please thumbs up, that this is going to work out and I can present to you a nice and not too difficult recipe. First, you have to line your form with non-stick paper according to the recipe, and in this case this is baking paper, the kind you use in your oven. They say you could also use a non-stick spray, but non-stick spray is greasy, so it might influence the taste of your cheesecake. And I will be cutting the rest off so I can save them for other occasions or other attempts of cheesecake. Then they say you have to use Digestive Biscuits, graham crackers. Don't know what it is, couldn't really find it, but when Dutch people make cheesecake, they often use these, they called Maria biscuits. I think graham is more with some more wheat in it, and these are made of kind of white flour. But anyway, when Dutch people make cheesecake, they use Maria biscuits often as a layer. Well, I have weight of 83 grams. That is according to my calculations, but as you can see it's quite a lot, and I went for this one, which I always use to make a half cheesecake. Because of the 83 grams, this is left, and this one is for me. I now have weight of 20 grams of butter. I know they are kind of weird numbers, but I am taking about 1/3 of the recipe, which is to be a dessert for 16 people. So we eat it as a pastry with our coffee. So it should be enough then for 2 persons, 2 nice slices of cheesecake. But it's only theory. The butter, I always use for baking real butter. We call it roombutter. That is cream butter. That is, I think if you compare it with America or English, real butter. So the high fat percentage. That makes a wonderful, intense taste to your butter. Okay, it's a little bit weird, but I think the right word is the bottom of your cheesecake. But okay, I'm sorry if I was wrong. I'm not a native in English, so please forgive me if I said something weird. Anyway, we're going to continue by making this into crumbs, and then melting this butter. Okay, and a lot of people do this by hand, the crunching thing, but to save myself some manual labor and some energy, I used the only kitchen machine I had, but it works quite well, as you can see. There are a few parts left in it, which I have to do a little bit by hand, but that works out also, I think. So, yes, you could put it in a tea towel and smash it, and probably the grain will be a little bit larger then. And I also use this for making grated cheese, etc. And I know it can make things very fine, but the knives are not sharp enough for all kind of things. So I was wondering if they could do it with the biscuits, but they did, and it saves a lot of energy and work. So if you have one of these, use it. And if you don't have one and you bake often and have to smash a lot of stuff by hand, you might want to look for one in a thrift store or something like this. So let's continue. Funny thing is, melted butter also always reminds me of poffertjes. That is a Dutch dish. Really thick pancakes, small thick pancakes, which are served with butter which melts on it, and powder sugar, or probably as Americans would call it, icing sugar. I'm stirring the crumbs through the melted butter, and the idea is that it kind of attaches itself to each other. So if it turns out it does not attach well, I will melt some more butter, and add it. So you can kind of improvise. At least I have some experience with prepared stuff, so I know the structure it should be and how it looks should be. I think this might end up getting maybe slightly more butter, but I'm not sure. I'm going to stir a little bit further. Well, it does not stick together well enough for my taste, so I'm going to add maybe 5 grams of butter, which I will melt in another pan again, because this which I used is now spoiled by the crumbs. And this is a little bit more how it looks like, and I have added 10 grams extra, and I've made a note of it, so the recipe will be as I am now in reality testing it. Probably the difference in butter has to do with a finer crumb, maybe, or maybe the white kind of biscuits react differently than the more grainy kind of biscuits, but the fact is that it has to stick together a little bit, and then when you put it in your form you can push it flat and then it sticks together even more. Well, you can clearly see I'm not very experienced in making it from scratch. When I threw it in here, I realized that it would be too thin of a bottom. So I went back, which fortunately was still intact, to my small one, which indeed fits with my first calculations of it being large enough for a small cheesecake. Oh, I see. It's almost slapstick, because when I threw it over, I made a little miscalculation. Anyway, I hope you are enjoying yourself. I'm now pushing it together with a spoon. Keep in mind that it should be solid, but not too solid. Yeah, that's also always a difficulty for me, also when I work with a package. When it's too brittle, it breaks off and it crumbles under the cake. But when it's too solid, you can't eat your pastry with a fork. You would have to use a knife to it. So try to find the balance. I hope I'm doing this right this time, because I still have not perfected that. Okay. Yes, I have washed my hands in advance, so don't worry. I think this might be a nice one, maybe a little bit firmer. It has to do because when you use a package, of course, it's more ideal. It has a perfect balance, and now from scratch, it's more natural, but the balance might not be that perfect. Okay, and here you have a lovely bottom base, which I will put in the refrigerator, and I'm going to take a break. And now it has to get more firm in the refrigerator before you add the upper layer. So I'm using this opportunity to take a break. Okay, the original recipe works with icing sugar, and according to the internet that is in Dutch the poedersuiker or a powder sugar, and it looks like, see. By the way, the recipe I use as a fake basis talks about a cup, but the American cup way is different than the cups in Netherlands, and small cup, large cup. It's always difficult, but anyway, she says it's also in grams, so I took 1/3 as I did with everything, and that's in this case 20 grams of poedersuiker or icing sugar. Then she talks about cream, 1 cup whipping cream, and in Dutch that's slagroom. She says it must be the fatty kind, so no light version, because otherwise it does not bind. So I went for the full version. Only the problem is there she is talking about a cup again, so that would mean 1/3 of a cup. I have no idea. I think I have some measurement spoons somewhere which state this is a cup, this is a half cup. So I'm looking them up, and I will try to figure out what it is in grams or milliliters. So it will help internationally how to do that. So that's work I still have to do. Then I'm skipping the vanilla extract because I'm replacing some ingredients which would compensate for the vanilla extract, because they use the toblerone, which they chop, and they ask for white chocolate melted. What I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the white chocolate with toblerone. So toblerone has a kind of nice taste from its own, so by replacing the white chocolate, which probably would have to have the vanilla extract to get a nice taste, I'm replacing it with toblerone, which has a nice taste already. So that's the idea behind it. Well, I'm going to try and find out how the whipping cream dough works. Also, the cream cheese, room temperature. I have chosen to go for this one, but you can also take other brands. This is a portion of 200. Mostly in the Netherlands they come with packages of 100, and that's mostly Monsieur. And then you go to the packages like this, also in Monsieur and Philadelphia, of course, and other brands, but you have to have a neutral one. I went for the Philadelphia. Normally I use Monsieur for my cheesecakes, because Philadelphia has a light version. Here in the recipe it does not say you have to have full fat like with the whipping cream. So I thought, probably with all the other ingredients, if it does not taste as well as the full fat cheese, you won't notice it, and it saves a little bit of calories. So I'm going to try this. Also, this is a little bit less than 1/3 of the recipe, so it will be tasting, testing, etc. But I'm trying to work it out for you, so at the end I will have a nice and easy recipe for you. Okay, I found it, and according to this one, which is from IKEA, this would be a half cup. So this is 125 milliliters. That means a whole cup would be 250 milliliters. So 1/3 of that, which means 1/3 cup, would come around 83 milliliters. So I'm going to measure 83 milliliters of the whipping cream. First you start by whipping the cream cheese until there are no lumps in it left. Then my calculations arrive at 50 grams to cut. Maybe I will put that back in the refrigerator for a while, otherwise it's too soft to be cut. And then I replace the white chocolate, which should be melted, with the same amount of toblerone, and that is 40 grams. And that means that you only need, if you make a small pie, one of these small ones of 100 grams. And if I'm finished and I decide that I don't need more toblerone because the consistency is okay, I will have this one left for me to eat, or maybe slice a little bit to decorate. So if you're making this small cheesecake, you will have enough for it with one small 100-gram tablet. Saves money also. Melt white chocolate on a low fire and keep them moving. You don't want to have them too hot. And I'm reusing the second pan I used to melt butter for this, to save me washing some extra dishes. Oh, and as you can see, toblerone melts differently than other chocolate. So I'm curious to see how soft it will get. This has to do, of course, the real weird melting, because there are things in the chocolate that take care of a different consistency. So I'm very curious to see how much it will melt, and otherwise I will have to use it this way. Well, it did not melt any more than you saw, so I used it that way. And then you have to you have the already ready cream cheese. Then you have to add the molten white chocolate, or in this case toblerone, and the icing sugar, and in this case pudersuiker, which is according internet the same as icing sugar. And then we have this, and I must say it tastes wonderful. So now I'm going to chop up the other toblerone, which has to be added later. Oh no, I have to now I'm going to measure off the 1/3 cup of whipped cream, which I have to add. And maybe I prepare the chopped up toblerone in advance, because it has to be worked through the finished product with a spoon, and it would be nice to have that ready when the whipped cream is stiff enough. I'm curious to see if this will be enough, because whipped cream you don't buy in cups, of course. And before I bought it, I did not realize. Oh, it is okay. I've chopped up the white toblerone with the same device as I did with the biscuits, and again some larger pieces are there which I have to make smaller. I advise it's kind of on the edge of what it's capable of, so you first also have to work with pulses and see how that works out. So I'm going to make this one's a little less, and then I'm going to put it through the rest. By the way, the larger pieces are nougat, nougat. Please excuse my pronunciation. And maybe I will keep them not too small, so there will be a little piece of nougat in the cake from time to time. Well, it might be my mistake that I went for a Philadelphia light, because it does not seem to settle, and maybe that should have been the Philadelphia also full fat to make it settle more. But this is the best I could do, and just hope until that the refrigerators works out, and otherwise it will be a nice dessert or something like that. Well, fingers crossed it will settle, but the amount, at least for a smaller cheesecake, is more than enough. I hope it settles, and otherwise it might be my fault of using a light Philadelphia instead of a full fat Philadelphia. Now it's been in the refrigerator for about 24 hours. Probably does not need it, because after 8 hours, like the recipe said, it was already stiffening up. But I always prepare pastry, etc. a day in advance. So then you cut around the edges to remove it from the form. And this is it, but as you can see it's very delicate, so maybe I made a mistake by using the light Philadelphia instead of the full fat. Maybe the full fat is needed to get a firmer filling. Anyway, this is for about 4, 5 or 6 persons, depending on how large you make the pieces. And let's taste it, and if it tastes wonderful I will make the movie a whole and put the adjusted recipe in it. This second version is exactly like I wanted, although because I melted the toblerone a little bit longer than last time and added more, it caramelized, probably because of the yogurt, the nougat, but it's kind of brownies, and that has to do with the fact that I added 1 block more of the toblerone and melted it a little bit more than last time, and because of the nougat it caramelized. So if you want to have a really white toblerone cake, you should go for the option of melting white chocolate and adding some vanilla essence, but I will write it down in the recipe what your choices are. And if you enjoyed this video, please like or subscribe, and thank you for watching. Bye.